All right, folks, today we're going to talk about the newly announced Fujifilm camera, the Fujifilm X half. It was a weird name, and it's a very polarizing camera. I just want to say that I haven't touched this camera. I haven't tried this camera at all. I'm not a cool kid. So we're just going to be, sharing our thoughts like everybody else has on this matter. And I just want to point out that, everyone keeps saying shit like, oh, you got to try it out. You got to try the camera out before you make your decision. But um, all I have to say about that is I don't need to kiss a dude to know I'm not gay. You know what I'm saying? So, so we can have opinions on cameras we haven't tried. Like that's what the internet's all about, and it's about discourse. So it's about open up a dialogue. I just hate the people that comes in with that kind of like stance of like, oh, you haven't tried it yet, so shut the fuck up. It's not about that. It's just about, sharing our opinions because it is the internet. There's a lot of things that happen on the internet. We as a photography space, we just have lots of opinions. I'm shooting this all in anamorphic for the cinema. How's it look? Does it look good? So if you guys aren't caught up with the specs by now, let me just get you up to speed. The design of the X half carries on the classic form and function of the Fujifilm X series. It looks like a mini Fujifilm X100V or X106 with its use of aperture ring, frame advanced lever, and other controls to deliver a satisfying tactile response that celebrates the functionality of the traditional analog photography. So users can also create 2-in-1 images with selected still images, combinations through the dedicated X half smartphone app. So you can make like cool images and then paste them together. Two verticals and one. I don't know, man. It's just like a lot of gimmicky shit right now. The X half is equipped with 13 film simulations. It also has a myriad of opportunities for users to emulate classic analog film varieties, such as stuff like light leaks, which creates highly exposed look to the image. There's also the halation effect. So it gives you like this nice little glow on your images. There's also this mode where you can use one film simulation at a time and use it as like a film stock roll. So I think in a film stock, you have like X amount of shots. So you go in and you tell the camera how many shots you want, and you're not able to like, look back on it. All you gotta do is just trust your process and take a shot and just hope that it turns out good. There's no reviewing the images. So this is why this is getting a little like, whoa, this is like out there. It's a little weird camera. You can also add like a date stamp function to it. So again, it's mimicking that film days where, you used to take pictures with that kind of stuff. It's pretty interesting. Now in the camera, there is a 1-inch back illuminated sensor and a 10.8mm f2.8 prime lens, which is an equivalent of a 35mm focal length. So if you do the math, that's about like 2.9 times crop to full frame. It is a small sensor, like a tiny sensor. It's smaller than a micro four thirds sensor, so keep that in mind. The X half features a 3:4 aspect ratio near LCD monitor and optical viewfinder for vertical compositions of photos and videos. Again, there is no EVF. They're trying to keep it as analog as possible, so just an optical viewfinder for you. You have to go in and just, compose. So what are my thoughts now that I give you that? It's quite expensive for a fun camera because this is what everyone is touting it as. It's a fun camera. It's coming in at $849 US dollars. The tariffs is making this more expensive than it has to be. But even without the tariffs, I still think that it's still overpriced. It should be at least like $500. The camera looks good. Don't get me wrong. The camera looks really good. But vertical frames, I guess, are they making this for the Gen Z audience? But I can't help but to think, how can Fuji keep making cameras and keep announcing new cameras when they can't, fulfill their orders? I hear people complaining about their, Fujifilm X106 or the GFX 100 RF. So is it going to be the same with this camera as well? Like, are we going to have to wait like a year to get this camera in hand? So that's another question that I have. And the thing that bugs me about this camera, and I know that's why this camera isn't for me, is that there is no raw shooting. There's no raw capability. So you're paying $849. You're only going to get to shoot JPEGs. Why not just use your smartphone? You'll get more use out of a smartphone than you do this camera. My philosophical stance on this has always been to get the most out of your camera. Get the most bang for your buck while you can. That's how I see it. That's how I prioritize, because again, this is a lot of money, and unless you got like a lot of money, there's no way that you should be paying like $850 for a fun camera without any raw shooting. If your philosophy is all about the vibes, you know, and you don't care how much it costs because vibes is vibes, sure, like get the camera by all means. Get the Fujifilm X half because it's cool. It's cool and it has vibes. You know what I'm saying? And vibes is vibes. Vibes has no cost. So it's whatever you like, you know? For that much money, you can get like the XM5, a camera that I don't like. But right now, the XM5 looks pretty good compared to what the Fujifilm X half has to offer. Come on, just think about it. You get open gate shooting. You get a 24 megapixel sensor RAWs. You get an APS-C sensor. So an APS-C sensor is bigger than the 1-inch sensor that is in the the Fujifilm X half. So that means it's better in low light. And there's also a chance to change your lens with the interchangeable lens option. You also get the better video capabilities as well. So I'm looking at this very, very practically. Or my other thought is like, why even get this camera at all? You can just you take that money and go on the used market and get yourself a secondhand Fuji camera with better specs. You know, one that comes to mind is the Fujifilm X-T30. It's not as small as the XM5, but again, the sensor is better, you get raw shooting, and it still looks retro enough. Or unless you want this freaking experience for JPEGs only, you can set your Fujifilm X-T30 to JPEGs only and get the same sort of shooting experience. So this is where things start to feel off for me when it comes to the Fujifilm X half. Obviously, you got like these new filters and shit like in there, like, you know, light leaks. You get to emulate the analog shooting, and you know, you get to, you know, wind up the lever just like back in the day when you used to own a film camera. But still, man, for that much money, man, Fujifilm is doing something interesting and new, and maybe this will catch on with the way they are marketing this camera with like this type of shooting experience. But when it comes down to, you know, dollar value and specs, I just think that it's missing so much that I cannot justify its price. At least for me anyways. The reason why I know there's a market for this is because there's a lot of people selling a Canon G7X, which is like a 15-year-old camera, and people are selling that for $1,000, and there is a demand for it. People are actually buying it because they really like the images that is coming out of that camera. Again, I don't agree with paying that much price, but if the demand is there, why the fuck not? You know, at the end of the day, Fujifilm do what's best for their bottom line. Business is business. So I get that part. So I'm sure they probably did some sort of, you know, analysis out there and did some research and thought, you know, perhaps this is a good idea. Perhaps they are jumping ahead on this wave. Perhaps they see what I'm seeing on TikTok, which is a lot of people are buying up pocket cameras because pocket cameras are coming back. Maybe perhaps a lot of people out there, they don't care about raw shooting, and they'll just take the JPEGs and they'll just share it because they don't want to edit. But again, like, I just feel you guys can get more out of your money than just vibes. You know what I'm saying? But what do I know? Anyways, let me know your thoughts on this camera. What are your thoughts? Let me know down in the comments section below, and consider subscribing to my channel for more Fujifilm content. And yeah, thanks so much.